Hey guys and any gals out there, I'm in the process of fixing this mega mess up of a mega bondo kind of deal where they actually bondoed over a big chunk dent. So I'm repairing that right now. What I've done is I've took a photo. I do everything old school because I started doing body work in probably 1974. So it's been a long time, so I do old school, which works great for me, has this whole time. I'll put up a photograph first. I basically drilled a bunch of holes where the dent was and screwed in a screw, used a hammer, pulled all the dent up with all these holes, pulled the dent up where it's close to where it should be, and then I obviously welded the hole shut. Got a big lump here just because they ground this down to almost nothing, so it was all burning out, so I had to fill that all up. So I've got all this going here. When you pull the screws out, you leave little high spots, and so if you weld them up and then try to body fill over them like that, you'll make the holes again. So what I do is get those all filled in, and then you can use a flat hammer, I can use a welding hammer. So I just tap them all down a little bit just to get the metal where it needs to be. One other thing I do is, you might see our bucket here and my rag. It's a wet rag. I learned from old-timey expert kind of deal. When you bend something, an accident, or bend metal, it stretches it and you get the tin can effect. And once I had this all pulled out, it was a tin can effect. So a secret he taught me was, they used a torch, but you can also use the welder also. You weld a hot spot and then you take it and just immediately wipe it down with water, and what that does, it shrinks that little piece of hot metal. So every one of these I welded shut, and then I soaked it in water, basically like that, and I can push like crazy, and the metal shrunk a whole bunch. So now it's nice and tight, no tin canny, and so that's a good thing. So now all I have to do is tap down all these high spots a little bit. You don't have to do a lot. And then I'll start in with the grinder, getting these all ground down a little bit so I can do my first test layer of body filler to see exactly where we're at to match the rest of the hood. So that's what I do. It's always worked for me, so that's how it goes. So see ya. Okay, next step is to, as you can see, is tap down where the welds were just a little bit, and then you just grind off the high spots, and so it looks like a big mess here. So that's the next step. Step after this will be wire wheeling all the crap inside all the little cracks and crevices. Okay, so now she's all wired, brushed up, and I actually took the angle grinder and just roughed up all the way around just so we get a good bite. I'm just going to get a lot of bite here, the body filler, but we want a good bite all the way around here too. Okay, now here's another little trick I learned, seems like a million years ago. A lot of guys or body shops don't like to put any kind of body filler on the hoods or trunk areas or whatever, because the doors always, trunk gets slammed, the hood gets slammed, especially with these guys, the hood's so long and flexible. So little trick I learned a bunch of years ago that I kind of came up with myself to make this first layer more flexible. I'll use 2 parts of the polyester body filler and 1 part fiberglass resin. All right, and then I'll use the fiberglass hardener instead of the regular hardener, you know, the colored hardener, but use that, and so it makes it a lot thinner, smoother, kind of runny, but what it does, it gets in all the nooks and crannies, and then when it dries, you've got a base here that's a lot more flexible than just regular old polyester body filler. So now this is going to flex with everything and stick better. So that's the next step. This is just the first layer. This is just I call it the adhesive layer because this just makes it stick like crazy. So that's the next step I took. Okay, up to our next step. We've got 2 thin layers. Well, I had the adhesion layer of the fiberglass mix. I've got 2 thin layers of body filler, and then I had touch up with glazing putty. Now I only use the 2-part glazing putty because it's just a lot better, and it's nice for finishing than the 1-part. So I always use the 2-part. I finish my body work, or actually my body filler, with 80. Nothing finer than that, because you'll find a lot of people try to totally finish it, and then when they go to paint, they've got divots where they just couldn't see because they've sanded too far. Because when you get into the area of the metal, it'll show and sand slower on the metal, so you get low spots. So I always just go to 80, and then I go to primer. Sometimes I use primer filler. Now if any metal's showing, I'll use etching primer on those spots, and then just regular primer on the rest. So I'm off to the primer stage. All right, get to the next step. We've got she was sanded down, the body filler was sanded down to 80, and then I've got a first layer of primer filler, and then also you can see there's 2 different colors. If you don't know about it, that we use 2 different colors because it's called oh god, just lost my mind there, reveal coat, and you just need a light coat of just another color, so when you're sanding you can find your low and high spaces, because there's going to be a color change there. So if you want to get something nice and flat, or to actually match everything else, guide coat's almost a must-have or a must-do. So we've got this here. Now I'm going to start sanding with 320 and maybe 220 first. We'll just see how it goes. Just light sanding, and then 320 is going to be the finest I do before I do paint. Okay, first primer sanding. I had to go to 220, which isn't bad, because obviously you have to get another coat of primer on it. But as you can see, hopefully, you can see where the primer has filled up the scratches now. As long as there's nothing shiny here on any of the paint, that means there's no low spots there. So, but you can see we got some body filler poking through there. I hope you can see. There's some of this. So that just basically means it's probably just a couple of thousandths. It was just a couple of thousandths tall. So I did a pretty good job before the primer. So now I've got that again. So I have to do the metal again and another coat of primer here with some 320, and she'll be ready for paint. So that's the next step, and the repair is finished. It only took 2 coats of primer. So I don't know if you can see this real well, but smooth as could be. So I'm happy. Now I got to finish sanding the rest of the hood and fix this horrific gloss black and this jacked up black and these yellow scoops. So that'll be for another time.